done.
Yeah, and they stayed on it and got it done quickly. I mean, it
Do you
was
know how to get a hold of
2
them?
weeks maybe.
You know how to get a hold of them at all?
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Jennings,
Oh, yeah, on the way. Excused, whatever. Okay, so do we got a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make it.
And Melissa second?
Second.
Any discussion, any corrections, additions, deletions?
Do we have to do we have to modify the agenda to break up the Kiewit conditions into two?
Let's see. I don't
no.
think
it's
so.
not necessary.
No.
We would still make motions under that.
Yep. All right. Call the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner McCann,
Yes.
Commissioner Oden,
Yes.
Commissioner Burger.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Agenda's good. Now we're going to go approval of the minutes, but there's two sets of minutes that we got to approve. So we're going to go treat them different. March 3rd approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion for that date?
I'll make a motion, yeah.
Jennings arrived.
I'll second.
Second by him. Okay. Any questions, thoughts, concerns, additions, corrections? Take the roll.
Commissioner Burger,
Yes.
Commissioner Oden,
Yes.
Commissioner McCann,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Jennings.
I'm gonna abstain. I didn't hear what it was.
Okay. So we're on approval of minutes and just did A, we're gonna do B.
In that case, yes.
Okay, that one carries. So let's go, motion to approve the minutes for March 31st.
So moved.
Drew moved it. He seconded it. And discussion, additions, deletions, any of that stuff we need to cover? Nope. Take the roll.
Commissioner Berker,
Yes.
Commissioner Oden,
Yes.
Commissioner McCann,
Yes.
Commissioner Ford,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
and Commissioner Jennings.
Yes.
So we're at the citizens comment section. There was none submitted, but we have a citizen in the audience that would like to join our discussion. Come on up.
Good evening, Kenny Hughes, Mayor. First of all, I want to say that it's not lost upon me that I have 6 planning commissioners in the room tonight. I really appreciate that. If there's anyone in the audience that's listening that would like to join these 6 folks, we have an opening. Let me know. I'd be happy to appoint a 7th. And form a waiting line for anyone that's seriously interested. Anyway, that's not why I'm here, but just thought I'd mention that. How much I appreciate it. I've been following what you guys have been doing, been tuning in, watching the videos, and appreciate what you've managed to accomplish. There's a little bit of news on a couple of things, and that's all I'm going to mention. The Senate just passed a appropriations bill, capital bill out that transmitted to the House that included 2 specific projects that were named for Nome. One is the paving Front Street, $6 million for paving Front Street.
Nice.
From Bering to Great Khrushchev, and also about $12 million for the bridge across the Snake River there, mile south. So good things. And then one item that may impact part of your decision or at least your process tonight is that Stedman Avenue is going to be repaved this summer, and my information that I've got is that that's going to start in June and run into mid-August. So it may be inconvenient to draw traffic on Stedman
Yes.
during that time period. Then another thought too is that I really like the new parking diagram. I'm less, I like the traffic routing less, but it may be that if we didn't give them anything, if we don't make a prescribed route out of there, it means that it's less dense. You know, you don't form a concentrated stream, and it's a more
Fan it out.
amorphous fan out, and maybe just wanted to throw that out there for your thoughts this evening. That maybe it's be better to allow them to just amorphously filter back and forth. I don't know, but coming out of that parking lot with the new parking scheme, they would be kind of interested in West. But anyway, just wanted to throw it out there, and wish you good luck on the Robert's Rules of Orders training tonight. You know that I reviewed that. That's one of the best, most succinct Robert Rules of Orders things I've seen.
Yeah, pretty
It's
good.
really great. The cheat sheets at the end are awesome. Print them out, take them home, memorize it.
Quiz next meeting.
If I didn't have a drive date with my wife planned for this evening, as soon as I leave here, I'd stick around for it myself. But anyways, good luck and thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thanks, guys.
Did I make it just in time?
Just in time, perfect timing. Come on up.
All right, how are you all doing? Derek McClarty, Citizen Nome. I would like to talk a little bit about the traffic plan part of what looks like you already have up
Can we
here.
bring that up? The map, you want to see the map?
We could see the map, or I was just gonna revisit some of the things we talked about in the past. So the last meetings, there were really three particular points that were problematic, and that would be kids in the traffic pattern as proposed, parents parked in the traffic pattern, and then lastly, kind of poor visibility at the intersection of the Alaska Gold Access Road and the bypass intersection. So those are the three things that I'd like to address that may have an opportunity for the planning commission. That being said, I believe right next to, let's see, the Richard Foster Building's parking lot. So if you go to the east is where the skating rink was gonna be.
Why don't you go there, why don't you go use the map?
Yeah, that'd be great.
You want to blow it up a little more if we could?
All right.
Just that subject area.
Yeah, perfect, right here. So the proposed, Kiewit's original proposed option was to start somewhere in here and go this way to this Alaska Gold Access Road.
Right.
Right. And the issues that came up were one, this kind of blind corner a little bit here.
Yes.
And that's problematic. And then also, somewhere in this general vicinity, kids are sledding down this hill. People are parking back here just kind of wherever because it's whatever's back
And four-wheeling and stuff.
yeah, it's kind of a free-for-all. So,
BMX.
so what I think would be a great opportunity if the planning commission would push forward with something like this, is to actually fill some of this area and make this a parking lot so that people have a place to park. And there's also an opportunity, I mean, you could develop this with tables, a pavilion, you could actually make something that's kind of nice, not just a parking lot. And I went and walked the area. Most of the kids are sledding over here away from the road. I think they walk over to the road just because their parents are there. And I think this would be a really easy way to address the kids and the parents and the pedestrians and the parking with a long-term fill, if you will, because you're going to fill this lot. It's going to be usable later. Whether this is a forever solution or you want to develop into something more later, well, the world's it's your opportunity. And then the last is this blind corner, and we done and drove and checked all of this out, so there's not going to be any conflicts here. If you just came in here either with a dozer or a city equipment or whatnot and knocked this hill down, you could pretty much stay on the high ground all the way to the bypass. I'm not saying you abandon this. I'm not saying you do anything with the other road. You could do whatever you'd like with it. But bringing the access over here, which is all through city property, you're not cutting through anybody's backyard. That's going to solve all of your blind corner over here. And I guess that's just the three things that I was thinking about was pedestrians, parking, and the visibility. And when this is all over with, you still end up with a nice parking lot, potentially a park. I don't know. I'd love to be at that ribbon cutting. I just wanted to address those three things because, you know, you say problem, I say opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derek.
Assuming that's it, unless we got somebody on the line from the community, which I don't see or hear, but now's the time. And I guess we're not hearing anything. We're going to close citizen comments and go to unfinished business, which is this.
Hey.
Communications.
Communication. Sorry, I skipped over communication.
Mr. Chair, just a quick point of order. I don't know if it's left off intentionally or if we just didn't have it on here, but normally our agendas have a commissioner's comment section as well as a schedule of next meeting, and neither of those items are on this agenda.
Good eye.
Yes.
If you're okay with the point of order, just making an amendment to the agenda to add those two items.
Is it on this one on here?
No, I went to
Yeah,
an
you
old,
looked- okay.
I went to an old agenda to confirm that
Gotcha.
those were
Yeah, they are.
normally on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, because you're absolutely right. They're normally on there.
And so I would make a motion to amend the agenda to add commissioner comments below new business
Mhm.
Perfect.
and the schedule of next meeting below the commissioner's comments.
And then adjournment. Final.
And then-
Any second on that?
I'll second.
All right, we got a couple seconds, Jennings or whoever, Rucker. Somebody's got to get rid of the drunk sooner or later. Sorry.
Those are the kids out from Waypoint, I think.
That's the issue.
Hey guys, it's kind of loud.
Oh, it is kids? I shouldn't
Yeah,
have
thank
said
you.
Thank you.
that. Thank you.
It's hard to tell through walls.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah. It's a
capable.
terrible assumption. Anyway, so.
Commissioner Jennings,
Yes.
Yeah.
Get off my
Commissioner Merker?
lawn.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden?
Yep.
Commissioner McCann?
Yes.
Commissioner Ford?
Yes.
And Commissioner Smith?
Sure.
All right, now that it ain't written in front of me, we're going to communications, right?
Mhm.
So
The letter.
where's the letter?
Oh, the one from Dan.
This is it, Kiewit.
No. Let's see.
Response, no, that's not it. That's the unfinished business. So I guess the letter from Dan, if everybody's had a chance to look at it, is the only communications we really have, which is in front of us in paper, black and white, on the desk. I don't see it on the screen. If anybody wants a copy like the mayor or something, he could get one. All right. Any questions, concerns, thoughts on that? You like the idea of splitting it into two? I think it makes perfect sense, especially what we heard from the mayor about Stedman Street.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That's it, I guess. Where are we at now? Back to the unfinished business,
Now go
right?
to unfinished business.
Yeah, it's a little out of order, so. Now we're gonna go to what's on the screen from Kiewit. Their response to the city clerk, to our conditions. They acknowledged all of the conditions and then addressed, I believe, 16, 17, if I got the numbers correct, which would be the parking and the traffic routing plan that was of concern to the commission previously and made part of the conditions for the conditional use permit. They have submitted a response, and we're going to treat them both as each separate one. I'd like to start with the parking plan, which I'm not sure which number condition that is.
I'd like to make
That's
a
number
motion.
17.
Melissa's going to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the number 17, the
Yes.
parking plan as presented by Kiewit.
I'll second.
Drew seconded, Melissa. Okay, discussion?
It's exactly what we asked and they did it. So I know that they had
Yep.
mentioned that, they were gonna have to go back to the drawing board, look at land, look at this, look at that. They did it.
They did
Yep.
it.
That's
It looks
exactly what I
good.
wanted to say, so I'm
great.
happy with that.
You ready to take a roll call on that one?
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Ford?
Yes.
Commissioner McCann?
Yes.
Commissioner Oden?
Yep.
Commissioner Berker?
Yes.
And Commissioner Jennings?
Yes.
Okay, I guess we got to look at condition 16. Any motion for that one?
I'll make a motion for that.
Any second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion to approve, motion and a second. Discussion.
Should your motion be on which specific route we're looking at from what they presented of 1, 2, and 3, or just,
They gave us
I
three
guess-
choices, I guess. Maybe we could blow that thing up on there again.
I just think the motion probably has to be a little more specific into what we're approving as
We're-
far as the route
Are we
goes.
choosing to adopt one or are we choosing to adopt them all as options? Yeah.
Well, right. And they gave us choice in there, I believe, for us to choose, which is very nice, but I kind of think we're stuck with approve or deny that portion.
We had asked them to come with the alternate routes.
Yeah. So
We
they draw.
kind of, if I recall, because I was kind of out of it, that we wanted them to go down Spokane and out Fifth, and that wasn't presented on this.
We didn't give any specific guidance. We just asked that they shall develop
A
and submit a
different plan.
traffic routing plan.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, so I didn't remember correctly, but it would be probably
I guess we could just choose an option and then we can discuss it.
yes. How's that? Choose an
Well-
option. How's anybody like option in the red? Coming down Stedman over, what's that, Fifth?
That's 5th, yep.
On up to the Nome Belt Highway. And from there on to wherever.
So you're good with your motion on option A for
So-
discussion?
Yes,
Motion,
we'll go,
and then
we'll amend the motion for option A.
And then who's the second? Did you get one yet?
We had a second with Brooker.
That was me.
Brooker.
You good with that?
So we're good with that.
So-
So on option A, now we're in discussion. Thank you, Drew. So I just have to say at the beginning is that, you okay, Melissa? Kenny brought up, Mayor Kenny, that Stedman's gonna be construction on it, redone, repaved. There's gonna do sidewalks and everything. If I remember correctly, this has been on the books for a few years and it's finally coming to fruition. Any route down Stedman probably isn't a good idea.
Not on Stedman.
Right. And we wanted to get the headlights off of the houses, and this doesn't do that. You know what I mean? We want them to go west instead of east. That's my thoughts with their routing plan. Down towards Spokane around the hospital. Would be nice if they could go out 6th Avenue, but I think there's a issue with a 10-foot easement for the old hospital that makes the right of way a little narrower, but there's only 50 feet to connect it to the Nome Belts Highway. It would be so nice. Give a lot more traffic options. People could walk to AC easier and all that, and they would stay away from all kids and all bus stops and everything like that. It would be a nice new traffic option, but I don't know how realistic that is, but I would love to throw that out there.
You could throw it out there. I think it's a pretty, it's a steep rundown. And I can see
It's a
icy,
hill, yeah.
slippery crap and people slide right onto the road just as people are accelerating up to 40 miles an hour right there. I like that. I like it, but except for that part.
Maybe they could grade it down, yeah.
If they could cut it back, but then if there's an easement.
Yeah, it might be some issues, right, exactly.
But it's worth
Well,
looking at, definitely worth looking at. That'd be Occam's razor if you could make that happen.
Anybody else?
Well, presuming that whatever option we do choose, they are going to be paving Stedman this summer. I
The route's
imagine
gonna
this-
change.
Well, and I imagine that the bulk of this traffic won't begin occurring this summer. This will all probably fire up as the facility itself is actually, erected and in use. In my mind, proposing something like Stedman right now might not be the choice for this exact moment because they're going to pave it, but we can always put in, let's revise in 6 months or at the termination of
Construction.
termination of Stedman's repaving or something to that effect, just because it's one of those things where you can always find pros and cons to it.
Mhm.
I'm familiar with the sledding hill that Mr. McClarty referred to as well. I guess pretty common ground for a lot of people and families to meet up right at that intersection up at the top that then dips down. So,
Yeah.
I understand why we've avoided Alaska Gold Road, but I think, obviously at this point, I don't think that extending 6th is really an option. It is a very significant gradient and hill down to tie into that highway road.
Maybe that could be mitigated, maybe not, exactly.
The one thing about 5th is that it is paved, so that would theoretically alleviate some of the dust. But as we saw with this fall, when temperatures get below freezing and we don't have precipitation, dust is what we
It's hard
have.
to really mitigate the
So,
dust, yeah.
One thing that was nice about the Gold Company Road is that it did immediately exit the
It's the shortest
city area.
route, yeah.
And I definitely see that the issues with that being kind of a blind spot. I mean, I drive kind of like there could be a toddler around every bush around here just because there often is. But not everyone takes that, operating a motor vehicle mindset into it, kind of defensively
If
driving.
I'm looking right, Stedman goes
There
all the way up past there, and that would be
limitations.
blocked off to them for the whole term of the construction anyways, and they wouldn't be
Right.
able to use that anyways, because Stedman goes up past there.
But they're not gonna block Stedman the whole way.
I think
At the beginning of the project, right? They're gonna.
Yeah, I don't know how they would
So
do
they're
it
gonna do it in
exactly.
segments, and that would be the last segment if I was thinking.
Or maybe they start from there, you never know.
I think the end of the segment is at Jimmy West Station there, I think.
His,
I don't think it's
little,
going all the way up.
they're doing the whole Stedman.
All the
We
way?
saw the plans a
Really?
couple of years ago. The whole Stedman, all the way up.
I think
I
the
was talking to
sidewalk
you the
stuff
other
is only
day.
gonna go to there, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're gonna do it in sections this year to Jimmy's and extra, I mean, it might be a multi-year project. I don't know the details. No idea.
Commissioner?
Yes, Melissa.
So this kind of, for me, highlights why this is a terrible idea to have right there. Okay, I'm sorry,
agree
but
with
this
you.
is exactly why we're talking about 80 vehicles. These are bus routes.
Yes. Bus stops.
You have bus stops, you have kids going to school, 80 vehicles
You have right here
all
on
through
the
here.
corner, you have a new hostel that has village travelers that walk to the stores and through this whole area. Yes.
So I'm going to say that I think this is a terrible location for this project. I've said this before.
Yes.
We have to have this project because there's no housing. We have to have this project. So I'm reconciling these things. I am a huge advocate for having that Gold Trail available for the kids riding their bikes, for the sledding hill, for all of that. I think it's going to be a heck of a lot easier for us to accommodate those kids than it is to accommodate the traffic any other place than Gold Hill Road. I'm sorry, but that's what I think.
So no traffic on Gold Hill.
But I do think that some kind of concession has to be made. It's a deer trail right now. We're going to put 80 vehicles down that. I drive down that. So now I'm not going to be able to drive down it in my little car
And it
because
gets pretty
it's going to
slippery,
be
just like the other place.
a hot mess. If
And it's
80
a blind
cars,
spot. It's probably more dangerous than going down that little hill.
if 80 cars are going down that twice a day, then something needs to be, we need a little bit of give somewhere from someone
Yes.
as far as developing that road in a better way. So I personally would like to propose a motion. Can I do that in the middle of a motion or do I
I
have to wait?
believe, I'm not 100% sure, but just go for it. We'll hear it.
So
out.
I would like to see, I would like to make a motion that we send this back to them with a plan to improve that Bering Straits with city, some kind of plan to make that road safer for kids to ride do the sledding, for visibility, and for the road itself. Because right now it's literally a deer trail. If you try to drive down it, it's a deer trail. So
A lot of people go off on that corner and lose their vehicle in the wintertime, all kinds
that's
of.
my motion.
Just so I can understand.
We're kicking it
you
back.
You would propose that we would adopt that routing on condition that they meet us somewhere in the middle with improving that particular road.
Correct. Them, Bering Straits, city, somebody
Okay, so we're
brings it.
How
Back
about,
if
to us.
I second this, then I am essentially saying
Well,
I don't want any of the other proposed routes. I'm seconding yours
Hold-
to choose that one. Correct?
Correct. That's my motion.
Yeah.
I would second that. if
Okay,
that is
let's hold off for a second. Basically, we have a motion on the floor that we need to finalize first. If there's going to be another motion after
Oh,
this one perhaps fails or passes, then we can do another
My
motion.
mistake.
Okay.
I think I got it
think with the
right,
motion out
and
first.
let's hear from Wally.
Dan, what were you saying?
Oh, Dan, sorry.
You need to resolve the motions.
Yeah, yeah.
You to
All right,
vote down
so I got it
and
right.
then move on.
And then you can make another one.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve it for A, which is in the red, correct? So,
And just before we move out of discussion, I was thinking what I was gonna see for this piece of it was not gonna be down here, Stedman and over. I was thinking that it would, because the vehicles are parked on these sides with the new
yes,
plan.
and
So
that's over there
that they would continue to go out this way.
through Sixth
All the
Avenue,
way to Sixth and
down that little
has
hill. That
one
ain't there.
residential property
Mm,
in
Just a
this
couple.
entire route, but this wasn't even, it's not even an option that they're presenting.
mhm.
So that missed kind of part of the, I mean, yeah, we were talking about protecting the kids here and would it be great to have all of the sledding hill stuff on this side? Absolutely. Preference one for me too. But preference two for me was something like as least residential as possible, which to me was coming straight out from their parking and hitting one alleyway, and you have like 2 residential and paved road here.
Right. So, you're right. I like that.
Yeah.
Except
my favorite.
right here, this corner is awful
Awful.
right now
Yeah, terrible.
Today.
5.
with 6 vehicles going down it. I mean, this corner, the visibility is just absolutely terrible.
Yep.
So we would, now you're talking a stoplight or something.
Who
At
knows?
5 o'clock, I agree, because I can't
Flashlight.
back out if I'm trying to back out backwards from there. But at 6:30 in the morning or 6:30 at
There's
night,
nothing around.
If you got
I don't see
80,
much. But
80 vehicles though.
At
We're
7,
talking
at
80.
7,
So was,
That can be-
sorry, was 80 the number that you gave us? I thought it was
60.
lower than that.
60. I think it was 60.
I don't remember the.
It doesn't matter. It's pretty high.
It's a lot of vehicles. 80 is not a number that I recall hearing. That.
It was 60, I believe, but it's pretty high.
even at the alternate place, I think would basically, when we were talking about that a little bit ago, was like out by Hatfield, and that's also a bus route. I mean, the kids go right by there on the way to school, and so having 80 trucks or 70 trucks pull out from there, I didn't think when we were having that discussion was a real good idea either. I mean, wherever it's going to be, there's going to be implications with traffic and pedestrians and people. So just how do we best mitigate that and move forward?
Any other discussion?
I see
You
what you're
good?
saying, Drew.
How about we just reject the whole thing and say, come back with a new plan? Let's just have one vote instead of looking at all 3 of them.
Well, we got one motion on the floor for A, which we got to resolve, and then we can do B and reject A and B.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, that's what we can do.
If I might say something real quick, for the purposes of today, it's these conditions, they could be rejected, but new conditions right now can be imposed. So just like what they presented, you guys can either accept or reject.
So we can do a motion to impose new conditions, have a discussion, and put them out there. Okay, that's not good to know. I did not know. that.
No, you can't add new conditions.
No, okay.
You can either accept or reject, and then they'll.
Okay, we got it. I got it. Thank you. So on A, are we ready to take a roll call? The only thing I want to say about this plan is that they knew we didn't want any traffic, noise, disturbance, headlights on Stedman. They chose to put both routes right in the spot where we said, move the parking. So I really think it is a not well thought out plan.
Can I say something?
Mhm.
I think the headlight issue was more because they were backing in, and every morning they were going to be starting their trucks, and it was all just pointed
Good.
straight at the other houses.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily the back and
Good
forth
point.
on the road. It was that it was all straight at the houses.
Good point. But I mean,
It's
traffic,
still traffic on Stedman,
traffic's
but it's
still going to
not
be pretty
correct. But it's
disturbing.
not the vehicles parked
Yeah.
shining directly at the houses.
To my understanding, that was why we had them alternate where their parking is.
Yeah.
And so they alleviated a lot of that headlight issue.
We just got to get this there. Okay, so we ready to take a roll call, guys?
Yeah.
All discussion done? Go ahead, hit it.
Commissioner Ford,
No.
Commissioner McCann,
No.
Commissioner Smith,
No,
Commissioner Oden,
No.
Commissioner Burkert.
No.
Commissioner Jennings.
No.
motion doesn't carry. Do I hear a motion to approve condition 16, part B?
Dan, do we have to go through all the 3 of these?
Can we just reject condition 3?
I mean, right,
Well, because the original motion was very specific to only one route onto just the
Okay.
plan that was submitted, which is what I would,
right.
that's what I would have recommended in the first place, because that's what the condition speaks to, is that they submit the plan.
Good.
For review and approval by the plan.
Can you hear?
We
We can't hear you.
What I would say about the plan that they submitted is that it didn't really give any, like, you might have to look back on the narrative of 16 and 17 to see if it gave any notes for it, because it didn't really explain the routes that they did. And so
Gotcha. It was too vague. It wasn't specific.
not voting on it is the same as rejecting it as possible.
So we can, right,
We don't have to take it up.
Okay.
we don't have to take it up.
You
So,
don't have to make a motion.
so any motion on part B? Going once, going twice, not taking up that part. Motion failed. That part fails. Oh,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I would recommend that the commissioners submit to me and Wally some of their thoughts on what was presented so that I can bring that back to Kiewit.
Gotcha. So we'll have a little discussion before closing it out. So go for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on B? I mean, it goes through residential. It's multiple angles. They're just fanning out the flow of traffic, as Derek pointed out.
Do you want a motion so we can discuss it, and I'll do it.
Okay, motion.
Okay, I'll move that we approve Route B.
I'll second it.
Cool.
Okay, let's discuss it. We got a motion on the table. You got that, Wally?
So I think, yeah, go ahead with what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it fans out, goes all over. I mean, it's a nice trying to fan out the 60 cars, but it's going right around the play areas and stuff again, and the stuff. I kind of want to avoid that personally. I think the rest of us kind of want to too, but I can't speak for the rest of us.
I think it actually sends more cars past where more kids play because in summertime you've got softball fields right there and there's always a bunch of cars parked along there. So that route to me doesn't seem like a good option at all. It seems like the original route that they proposed with modifications would be the best option.
I agree there. And I like Derek's idea of upgrading that little block of land there. Throw that in as part of the, as part way.
You know, like
The
keep them all
BMX
on that
park.
side of the road. I mean, that's a solution that,
That's a good solution.
Yeah,
And that, I think
absolutely.
they'd really like that. I think,
Yeah.
and fixing that stretch of road would be a piece of cake for those guys. They're professional road builders.
Just need budget.
one of the things I would just say that in thinking about that, one of the concerns that we did here was whether at the museum and the library and the staff there. So this might actually help them by having a parking lot that I'm assuming is going to be very well lit, especially if it isn't developed into like a parking lot with a little picnic, like Derek had kind of envisioned. Like that's a great idea. It could also improve, lighting in that area. It could improve, just that whole corner of
Could
where
give us
development is kind of moved towards in some parts of Nome.
in an area.
I like to see that sometimes, but
And you know what, in the bigger picture of things, there's all those trails that go all up and down Dry Creek,
all that
and
area.
there's a museum and a library, and there's a little park there and a little sledding hill. I mean,
It's
it's
not.
almost starting to look like a nice place to hang out.
Yeah, nice place for people to get out of the way of the traffic too.
Because really the parking is the issue there because of if the kids go back to the cars, there's no place to actually park. That's a spot where you could easily level that out. I mean,
and we are in what is it today? April 21st, and I drove by and there's plenty of snow to sled down that hill. So
They're going at it. My
I kind of
9-year-old
looked at it
is-
like, can we tighten things to like a time frame where we say, okay, in the snow-free May to, September, October time frame.
See,
That short route is ideal, and then when it's an active time, push another route. It just gets too complicated. But that was some of the things going through my head today after I read through the packet, looking at it. Like, okay,
So right now, that spot where Derek said is a little BMX park. And if you go across, the kids go across, and in the back over there and down there is that other bowl and stuff that they ride their bicycles in. And then they got the half pipe over here. It's a very active area in the summertime with bicycles.
oh yeah, on that side, yeah.
Oh, even on the side where you said the park is, that is a little BMX park.
No, this side, so right here,
Yes, there, and then go across over.
there's BMX park.
There's not
That's
okay,
right
you're
there,
thinking
there's not.
skate park?
Not there.
There's
Skate
these
park.
trails that the kids are.
Riding their
Like-
bicycles.
Like over at Chicken Hill.
Yes. And they use them regularly.
Yeah. Oh, you should
Cool.
see my grandson. He's
Yeah,
getting
There-
mad.
And these are the
Crazy
better.
hair.
These are the better BMX trails, actually,
Mhm.
better than Chicken Hill, and there's more use. But to have a family area and keep the kids to the right of the road might be good for traffic too. If we're going to let them go down that road, I don't know.
And I think this can probably be read by Dan in the minutes and discussed later on.
Good on.
I would note that it is best done to most conditions on this.
Can you speak up?
We can't hear you,
During
Dan.
the conditional use permit.
We
So we
could,
can ask them to do stuff, but we cannot require them to do anything like that.
yeah, we could ask for their good gracious to submit a plan that's a little more palatable, I
More of a
guess.
plan,
Huh?
more of a plan.
More of a plan, yes.
Drew some lines on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
what he's saying is that our opportunity to submit these as conditions is in some sense past.
No,
suspect
no,
they'll
I
no.
thought, I thought that's
They'll like
We
the
can't-
ability to get on
We
that
can't
road.
do any new conditions at all, is what Dan's saying. All we can do is say yay or nay on this, and if we say nay, they have the opportunity to resubmit another plan.
Yeah.
And after listening to our feedback, hopefully, we get a nice one that we can all agree to, and or not. That's basically where we're at. Am I wrong, Dan?
Nope, that's correct.
Okay, so let's move on with the process if we don't mind.
Call question?
Commissioner Smith,
Yeah, no.
Commissioner Ford?
Nope.
Commissioner McCann?
No.
Commissioner Oden?
No.
Commissioner Berker?
No.
Commissioner Jennings?
Okay, no. So motion fails on the traffic routing plan. We are moving on to new business, I believe, which is Robert's Rules of Order. We are looking at Aaron
Aaron?
and Sam.
Yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. And then it's gonna be kind of a team approach with Sam and I, and certainly invite the clerks in the room and virtual to chime in with their expertise as well. So again, good evening. As a reminder and framing, last month we took some time and reviewed roles and meeting flow, how to craft conditions for permits. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit more about the mechanics of meetings, the Robert's Rules. That really kind of help facilitate us from decisions to a vote, as you all have just done. So also as a reminder, as many of you know, we've been going through the American Planning Association training series with recorded videos. So we've completed several sessions about rules and managing meetings and findings of facts. So we're at the midpoint in that whole series. So the intention here, as a reminder of these more conversational sessions, is really just kind of intended to complement those training efforts. So after this evening, we'll kind of move back to session 4 and 5, which will be it, where we talk about comprehensive plans and zoning, as well as legal decision-making, which at that point you should be well prepped for. So with all of that context, our hope for tonight is that this is, again, be meaningful for you also. Please ask questions. And again, to help with that, to help with all of that, Sam and I are both on the line. We'll be sharing our perspectives even as each other are kind of having our turn at the slides. And again, not rehearsed this, but I'm inviting the clerks to chime in where it seems appropriate. So yep, there we go. So I think we begin tonight with some fun facts of who is Robert. So we've got Henry Robert was a general and an engineer who published his Robert's Rules in 1876. So the manual itself is about 700 pages long, and we are not going to review that book tonight, but we are just, again, going to kind of give some highlights. I would say as we get started that it's important to remember that the goal of these rules is to provide structure and fairness and order for a meeting. But certainly the goal is not paralysis, right? So we use Robert's rules to ensure that we've got a predictable process for every member, and everybody has an equal opportunity to be heard. And that tool is to help us in reach a decision effectively, but not to serve as a hurdle for us to actually do the work of the commission in this case. So next slide. And Dan, am I able to share that exciting news? Or is that like, I will share that. Yeah, that's fine. So I've been told, or Wally should, yes, Wally's got, we have books for you. It's the Jurassic version of the Roberts Rules, and I've seen those books, and it's much more fun than the other image that was shown on the slide before. Both are valuable, but this one is a little bit more engaging. So apparently, get it our gifts.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Jurassic Parliament.
We'd like to give a shout out to the Alaska Municipal League that provided these to us for free.
Well, thank you, Alaska Municipal League. Send them a nice thank you dinner letter.
Just what I wanted. Just what I always wanted.
Yeah.
All right.
This is the book that the clerks use for their clerks training.
Oh,
We
good.
do our certification training. And so it's quite easy read for advanced readers. I think it took me maybe 2.5 hours to read.
So we'll be certifiable.
Wasn't too awful boring.
So we'll be certifiable. Thanks.
That is a useful book. Although the other 700-page book, I will always remember I was a swim coach and one of my swimmers had that on the plane with him and he was reading it, the Roberts Rules book. So you also have that option, but I think Dan is spot on that this is a much more enjoyable read. So the slide before you, some basics. We've got the chairperson. I really thought a lot about like how to develop this into an analogy, so this will be exciting. So the chairperson can kind of act as the air traffic controller, and they manage the airspace, right? So that motions don't collide with each other and that everybody has a safe turn to speak. And in this system, the other commissioners, right, are the pilots, and you guys are responsible for navigating the specific details of each application and bringing us toward kind of a smooth landing, which is the actual goal, right? So it's not the perfect analogy, but I was having fun with it. So the commissioners will initiate the flight by making the main motion, and that is when the discussions will begin. And if there's a change of weather, and you have to kind of change course, that's when you have the subsidiary motions to amend the motion where we add specific mitigations for things like dust control that you all did a month or so ago. And so those are kind of like, think about those conditions of approval. I will also add, and this is on the slide too, and I'll just say that my analogy is over. That was a short-lived analogy. But then we have privileged motions, right? So these are, if it's just kind of an urgent thing, like you can't hear a speaker, or you just, there's some other issue happening that you can just kind of call that out, like a privilege, and adjust the heat or the volume or something. So there's always that approach. So next slide.
Cheat sheet.
So this, I believe the mayor had already kind of called out this, and you have this in your packets. The clerks have brought many gifts, and this is another gift that they are sharing. So this is the Roberts Rules cheat sheet. And it is a super helpful tool. It's not just a list of rules, but it's really got some good exact phrasing for folks to use in different situations. I would recommend that you kind of bring this with you sometimes to meetings. So we're looking at the first page on this slide right now, and you'll see some common motions that folks use to kind of keep meetings moving. So these are like your more standard. So that I move to make this motion be amended by is one, and so that's where we talk about kind of adding those conditions. You know, so you amend the main motion. I move that we recess until. Though that would be a motion that you could use if you just need a break after a really long discussion to kind of clear your heads, or you need a break to review a document. Then there's the table or postpone. Dan, did you have a comment on that?
Yeah, there's a difference between tabling a motion versus postponing a motion. Tabling a motion is exactly what it sounds like. You're taking it, you're putting it back on the table for a later date. It's not an identified date, versus a postponed motion, which is for a very specific date.
Like the next meeting.
Perfect.
It could be the next meeting. You want to very clarify that for sure.
Gotcha.
That's a date certain. Is that how you would say that?
Yes.
Again? All right. Perfect. And then there's the move to adjourn to actually end the meeting once the work is done. There's also some guidance in this material. We've already kind of talked about the point of privilege, those sorts of motions, but there's also the point of order. So that might be a time where if something's kind of going astray and, you know, if we're not following rules, we can kind of bring it back. Like, you know, if folks accidentally skip a public comment section, and you want to, you know, call that out and bring it back, then you can, that's a point of order. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah, are there questions or comments on this slide?
On the bottom of that, it says vote on a ruling by the chair. I appeal the chair's decision. I've never really seen that in practice, or I don't know if we do it. What is it? Clarify, maybe.
Which part are you?
On the bottom of the two, you say interrupt speaker.
The last one on the bottom.
The last one on the very bottom, in the box. Vote on a ruling by the chair. To vote on it.
I could see that in the
Also,
case.
an example of that could be, sorry, Drew. An example of that could be, you know, the chair rules on a conflict of interest and says, you know, I'm saying that there is no conflict of interest, you know, and someone disagrees. That is something that, you know, that they could, you know, bring a motion against and appeal for reconsideration.
Which is good process. I like it. Okay, good. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
There's other examples too. I'll have to think of some more specific examples.
That was the one that came to my mind.
All right, so Sam said the same thing. There are specific roles that get used by the chair, which for the commission, it's a little bit different than a council because the commission, the chairperson is a voting member, whereas for the common council or the city council, the mayor is the chair, and the mayor is not a voting member of the council itself. And so
there's that difference.
It changes the dynamic slightly when there's decisions being made. But a couple of things I can think of is, you know, someone declared a conflict of interest, or another example would be if someone was absent, and the chair felt that the person was not excused for some sort of reason, and somebody else had some other knowledge to indicate that no, they were excused. Do you remember they told you last meeting? Then that's something that could be, I mean, this is
Gotcha.
Procedural.
Right.
That's basically saying that this is how you bring it back up to say, hey, I disagree. And this is how you go about disagreeing.
Gotcha. Okay. And the only other question I have is, I move the one above it. I move we suspend the rules and consider something out of its scheduled order. Just a little clarification on that, I think, would go a long way for people when we're having discussions.
Does that mean considering an item out of position in the agenda, basically?
Yeah, so you're looking at consider something
Yeah.
out of its schedule, or that is how I would interpret that.
Okay.
Dan,
Okay. Because we do that kind of regularly, which is okay. We have the procedure in front of us. It's fine. All right. Perfect. I guess we can move on.
That's how I read it as well, though. I mean, in the agenda, you could probably make a motion to reorder something if you need to.
Okay.
right, I think I've seen you all do this, when you're approving the agenda, that's where, I've seen that happen, where you reorder it when you're approving the agenda at the top of the meeting. I know just a couple of meetings ago where we went long, and then it's not so much in reschedule doing stuff out of order, but we didn't do the training that was on the agenda. But I think and I know for a fact that you guys didn't do that motion, but I mean, I think that was decided very mutually, which may be a good example of, you followed Robert's rules not to a T, but definitely used it as your guide.
That would have been a good time to table that item. That would have been a perfect opportunity to table the training until the next available date in which it can be presented.
Remember that next time, guys, if we're tired.
But it's like
Everybody will have their sheets next time, so we'll be on the ball.
Right.
I think I could see a more real case use, like if you had a commissioner that had to leave early or something like
Right,
that,
right.
and they
We can
asked
accommodate.
to suspend the rules to allow commissioner comments now or something like that.
Right. Is that right? Okay. Good point there,
Yeah.
Drew.
Perfect.
Everybody ready to move on to the next slide or whatever it is?
Moving on.
All right, the basic flow. I think you guys have lived and breathed this, but I think the golden rule here is that we don't begin discussion until a motion is actually on the floor. So how the order typically goes, you raise your hand and the chair recognizes you, then you make the motion, somebody else will second it, and the chair kind of restates that and acknowledges that. Then the floor is open for debate. And then this is where any amendments would occur, or the discussions would certainly occur. And then there's a call to question of, now it's time to vote. And then there'll be the roll call. And that is, generally speaking, the flow that takes place.
I think,
And now you've got your cheat sheet to help you kind of navigate some of the nuances as that moves forward.
well, I think we got this down.
One thing really quick there, it says the chair calls the question, is it acceptable in all commissions and councils that other folks call the question, but then the chair just reinforces that, yes, we're gonna allow that vote, or?
As long as there's a reinforcement, I don't see why there's a problem.
Yeah,
It needs to be a member of the commission or the council that makes the motion.
Right.
So it's not just the chair calling.
In the case of the city council, the mayor cannot make the motion himself. He's not a voting member.
Right.
But is the
It's a little different
question
here.
We can ask to have the motion made, but somebody else has to state it.
So like Drew, so it says on the vote on the bottom, chair calls a question and may ask the clerk to call the roll, which we do regularly. But sometimes Drew will chime in and say,
Yeah.
clerk, call the question. And I'll say, and I'll just nod yes, and there's no verbal, but there's a head nod. And then the
There
clerk calls
should be
the
a
roll.
verbal clearly stating what the
Okay.
motion is. Otherwise, I would argue that it could be contested.
Okay, just to be clear.
So we're only talking about calling the question. So basically ending discussion. And I was just wanting to clarify that the chair isn't the only person that can call the question.
Actually, doesn't the chair runs the meeting, so the chair should be the one that says it.
I guess a commissioner
I would
could say
agree
to
with that.
me or to the chair. If
The chair runs the meeting.
Right, you'd say,
So
yeah,
the
let's
chair-
call a question or
calls the
whatever.
question.
Has to
I've
be an
just seen it.
affirmative.
For ages, people sitting on boards of commissions calling the question when it's silent for a while, and it hasn't always been the chair. So my question is the chair the only person that can call the question?
Yes. I would say yes. Is Sam still on the
Okay.
line?
Yeah, I am. I'm just listening here. I think Dan had it, but I think maybe it's the way it is written is that the way this is written isn't necessarily, I don't think, talking about somebody saying, I'm kind of done listening to this. I'd like to move to call the question. I think that's just a regular, a motion is made, we're debating it, and then eventually the chair would say something like, okay, are we ready to vote? The motion was, et cetera. I think it's just the way that this flow is written is I think maybe what's confusing. Is it's not really talking about a motion to call the question as much as the chair just kind of acknowledging that now it's time to vote.
Like a
Is that,
formalization of it. Gotcha. Like a form, right.
It is the responsibility of the chair to
Yeah,
do that.
okay.
right,
Gotcha.
right. And I think that that's where some confusion lies and maybe just how that's phrased on there.
Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
We ready to move on? Hit it.
All right, so again, so we've got, let's say we've got a motion we've got a second. And now we are beginning the discussion or the debate. So ideally, during the debate, we're talking about one, item at a time. The person who made the motion gets to speak first. Typically, it's best if everybody speaks first before anybody has a second turn. This keeps the meeting moving forward and ensures that the focus remains on the issues and that we're really listening to what is being shared. I think that's really all I have for this slide, and now we'll Sam, are we transitioning over to you to kind of take more of a lead at this point?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. If we move to the next slide, and this gets maybe a little theoretical, and out of the concrete, but I think it's worth
Little gray area.
discussing is that the rules tend to work maybe, I don't know about a little bit better, but sometimes they're easier to understand in practice in the legislative setting. For example, and we just saw a little bit of this, I think, tonight earlier, is for one, if we're talking about a resolution or an ordinance, the motion is stated to pass the motion or, the resolution or the ordinance, and a failure to adopt it just means that didn't pass. We do not have, resolution 2026-12 is a no-go. That's pretty clear. It gets a little harder in when you're making these quasi-judicial or permitting decisions. And I think we saw a little bit of that tonight is we still have to move forward. So what does it mean if we didn't all vote on something, didn't approve it? Another piece, though, is in the the legislative, if there are public comments that come in or testimony or documents that are submitted, the a legislative body, the city council, for example, really isn't responsible for reading and responding to those things necessarily. I mean, they should, as a matter of good practice, or they're probably going to get voted out eventually for just not being responsive to the public. However, if you're sitting as a judge and you have this substantial evidence standard, and people bring germane, relevant information to the, raise it and say, look, I live on that street and I know that at this time of night, XYZ happened, and that's why I'm concerned about this. If that's really relevant and it needs to be addressed. And and I guess to bring that back to something that Aaron said earlier is it gets hard because you've got Robert's rules, you've got the code, and then you've got attorneys and AML trainings and stuff talking about quasi-judicial. It gets to be a lot. And these rules are meant to provide.
Recording stopped.
The rules are, and I think Aaron said this before, they're designed to promote order, but don't get so straitjacketed that you aren't listening to what's going on and being responsive to it. And I heard something tonight that made me realize maybe, that a lot of what I wanted to say, it maybe isn't necessary because people get it. I heard somebody say, can I make a motion right now about something? And the chair said, I'm not 100% sure, but just go for it. And in a perfect world, does everybody have a better grasp of the rules? Yeah, maybe, but we're not in a perfect world. And that sounds like people trying their best to do their job in an orderly fashion. And that's what we want. And so I say that to be, it's not the attorney saying don't worry about the rules, but remember they're there for structure and that you're supposed to be trying to do your job. So if you have an amendment or an edit to something that you're working on, or go, well, what about the person who said, say it. Don't say it politely, say it through the chair, but it's challenging when you're in the quasi-judicial, you have some additional duties that aren't as, that are harder. So this next slide, and I'll let Dan and Aaron and everybody chime in on this. First one, the way it's written is just kind of maybe a little challenging, but the idea here is that if you're rejecting something, the basic concept, and I've seen this go well in Nome, so I think maybe people do understand it, but it's tricky. Do all kinds of different appeals and permit things all over the state. And one of the tricky things is always you make the motion in the affirmative because that's what you need to do. And then the question is you turn right around and vote no. So I make a motion to grant the appeal and then turn around and vote no. And that is possible. And that's how that's generally done. There's another attorney in my office wrote this particular slide and said, proposed the language, I move to grant the CUP and ask for a no vote. I don't normally see that. If people are, I think that is appropriate. I just don't normally see that. I see people making the motion and then just during the debate saying, well, I made the motion, but I'm going to vote against granting the appeal. So however you want to do that. But the next bullet point there is interesting. And that's, I think,
thought about that, so.
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, so one thing that I would advise against, a couple of things. One of the things is that, if you do have questions about procedure, That's what the clerks are there for. The clerks should consider the parliamentarians for these meetings. And although you do have a little bit differing levels of experience, I hope that all my clerks will be up to speed and be able to give you the best that they can. They will certainly try. So with that said, I would then say that we need to be really careful about polling for answers before a vote.
You mean like I move to grant the CUP and ask for a no vote type of affirmative motion?
How are you going to vote, Greg?
Well,
Are you going to vote in favor of this?
Oh, right. We don't want to elicit.
Nobody has to actually give their opinion before the roll call's made.
Perfect, clear example. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And I saw people doing that, referring pretty naturally to Dan for for procedural advice already tonight. And so I agree. And I don't want to say let's not worry about it and just be flexible, but so thanks, Dan, for chiming in. I think last time we talked about the possibility of drawing up some local rules, and there's answered over the last few years a couple of dozen procedural different rules, and many for the Planning Commission in general, and many of those could be done if you wanted to. The code provides for drafting rules, and it's not a bad idea. And one of them could be to cover that situation where something is denied for because the motion needs to be in the affirmative, and it didn't get the 4 votes necessary. That's pretty clear if you just kind of track through how the rules would work and how things are supposed to work. But sometimes it can be, it can be a little surprising to the person who's there and not getting the permit to just kind of see how that works. And so that's the kind of thing that could be laid out in a local rule. Another thing that we put on this slide was just going with that notion that I don't know what volume of permit applications and stuff the commission is seeing, but one thing that can be really tricky to deal with, and I was just dealing with it in a completely different context for a council appeal, another city this morning, is when do you build in a cutoff for people to submit evidence? And this isn't directly related to Robert's rules, but it's just a thought, is that, I was talking about how it's tough to be responsive to the various testimony and documents that come in, and how do you catch them all and respond to them. Just one other local rule to consider might be something that's just a cutoff for written material to be presented, or comments that aren't just verbal. So I keep mentioning that just because the commission doesn't have to do it, but committing some of this stuff to rules, it would be helpful just to flesh out. We're talking about process in general, and there are a number of procedural things that aren't really crystal clear. And so we wind up kind of making some of those calls based on other sections of the code, or, and hopefully Robert's rules. But we're glad to help draft procedural guidelines for the commission to consider.
Please do. Please send a recommendation for those, because we would love to work on something like that.
Okay. That sounds good. We can help. And I'll just tell you briefly, there's there's kind of the 2 to 3 page version, the 4 to 5 page version, or the much longer one. And you don't want the much longer one. It'll never get passed, and then nobody can find the stuff. But something like the 4 to 5 page one that hits the high points can be just really helpful. And then you can always change it if it's not working. So we will. We'd be glad to help with that. I think unless there are questions, I know sometimes I talk fast too, but
Sam, I've got a question.
Yeah.
I wonder, I don't know, as you were kind of going down this list, I started thinking about the Roberts rules as they relate to quorum, like the number of votes that it takes to pass something, where like if you're just sitting in the audience and you see a vote and it looks like the majority of the people have voted in the affirmative, but something still fails because, I mean, just because of the number, I'm doing a horrible job describing this, but just because of the number of people on the board or the commission itself. Can we speak to, like, I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that, those caveats, one, and two is, are those issues able to be modified in a rule that gets developed?
Those can be modified to a degree. And Dan, jump in, please, if I state this wrong. It's getting late at night, but I think the quorum that is 4 are required regardless as a matter of code and Title 29 to pass.
That's correct.
Anything.
Okay, yeah.
And that's because it's a majority of the total body, which is 7. And so it's not a majority of those present. There is a small tweak that can be made, and I'm glad to research this, and I can put it in writing better if I don't articulate it perfectly. But one small tweak that could be made is to allow a smaller number to make certain recommendations or not the quasi-judicial decisions, but to otherwise do business items to move things forward. Correct. And that's that's exactly right. And that's kind of a big picture view before we can propose some kind of rule on that. I'll make sure. I mean, I know I'm right that in general, that's how the division works, but the contours of it, of that, I don't want to be quoted on, but we can put something in writing on what degree of sort of business can be allowed.
Right. I would refer back to the some of the trainings that have been done before, the difference between judicial and legislative, right? And so judicial, a ruling versus legislative is just, a basic motion of a meeting, like starting the meeting with the majority and or quorum, passing minutes, rearranging items on the agenda itself, making recommendations to the city staff. Maybe there's some others that you can think of that I haven't thought of yet. Yeah.
A question, Mr. Chair.
Sure, go for it, Brewer.
Has the city of Nome or the planning commission or I guess has Robert's rules of order been formally
acknowledged as the rules that the city of Nome and the commission and councils use?
Yes. It's been adopted,
I can,
I believe.
go ahead.
I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, correct me, but I know it's been adopted for the planning commission as well as the quorum number as well has been adopted in our local ordinance. In our rules. That's all I really know, but anybody else chime in?
I think that Robert's rules, my understanding of the code is that the planning commission code doesn't actually explicitly say that Robert's rules apply, which is kind of, Dan, does that sound right to you?
Yeah, it doesn't name it by name.
Yeah.
I mean, we would certainly want to have a standard regardless, and without the planning commission adopting a standard, this is pretty much the grade A standard that's being used nationally. And so like, I mean, it behooves us to follow, what has been tried and true and
So correct me
is
if I'm
most commonly used.
correct me if I'm wrong. The ordinance,
100%.
you're 100% right. The ordinance spells out that the planning commission gets to adopt something like that in the rules, in the ordinance. And way back, we adopted the Robert's Rules of Order. It's been done. It's in meeting minutes. I don't know where, but
I believe it might be in some sort of motion. I'd have to dig a little bit to see when that was done. I don't disagree with you at all. I think that if we wanted to finalize something concrete, we could write it into ordinance, which is pretty simple for me to do.
Right.
That's something that's desired.
We could retake it up. Yes, that would be good.
Or it's again another example of something that could go in the if the planning commission did rules itself.
Right.
But like Dan said,
That'd be
it's
much
gold-
simpler.
it's- Yeah, it's simpler.
Yeah,
Dan said that. I mean, it's the gold standard, but it is just a oddity that it's not. That just doesn't happen to say that in the code.
Doesn't really say in the code for any commission or the council.
In your experience with other cities, do they have it codified or ordinance?
Yeah, generally, I think that they do. I mean, it's so widely assumed that every city and every planning commission uses it that I rarely actually check, I guess, but it strikes me as, I mean, not highly unusual, but just maybe a little, I would expect to see it. Or that somewhere in Title II, it just says all boards and commissions shall adhere to Robert's Rules of Order, something like that. That's just the dots aren't connected in the known code, but.
In the clerking world, this is what they use to train the clerks. I haven't heard of anything else being used at all in parliamentarian trainings that I've attended. This is what they use.
Yeah,
I haven't even heard reference to anything else.
I think I just brought it up because I had remembered a year or two ago, similar discussion at the council level and them basically saying no, that they didn't have anything actually in writing saying that they follow this.
Not the ordinance, no. Got you.
Sorry to sidebar.
Are you ready to move on to the next slide?
It's a good question, and I actually just
Yeah, it
looked
is.
a little bit before, like, as we were prepping this. That's why I know that I don't think it's in the code, but it largely academic because, like Dan's saying, I mean, it's just absolutely what we follow. There's no real alternative. But
Sounds good. Cool. Moving on, everybody?
Moving on.
yeah, I think the last slide, number 9, I think everybody could probably chime in on this. I want to make these are just some, ideas, and the city clerk's office being at the top of the list, as Dan said. But additional resources, you got the books tonight. I think that's great. I love these DCRA elected officials and planning and land use. I do this stuff at the sort of deep legal level end of it, and I still, if I'm preparing to write findings of fact or preparing to advise a board or commission, I go back to these DCRA publications every time and just get zoomed in at the high level on what their best recommendations are, and it's just I just find it valuable. So if anybody else had any other resources they want to just throw out now that they find particularly useful, I think that'd be helpful. Otherwise, that slide, there's not much to discuss there.
And that's the last slide?
I think, well, that was maybe the second to last, maybe it was the last. Yeah, I think the last one was, in my book, my version says thank you. So
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Aaron. Any questions for them guys? No. I guess we're moving along. We amended the agenda at this point. Where do I go? Commissioner comments. Do you want to call a roll for the commissioner comments?
Commissioner Ford?
Oh, I gotta go first, huh?
Oh,
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, as far as 17 goes, or as far as our traffic pattern goes, you know, I don't know that we've explored it all the way, or that they've explored it all the way. Maybe setting travel times. I'm not sure what kind of solutions there are, but I think there's better solutions than what they brought to us today. I think they can do better. I think the discussion about having a cutoff for when people could bring things to us, I hate that idea because we don't really get enough public interaction as it is, and anything that's going to inhibit that, I just feel, you know, I mean, it'd be one thing if we were inundated with a whole lot of stuff, but we're really not. We really don't get a whole lot of feedback from the community, so I don't want to see anything that's going to restrict it in any way. I really don't. That's just my personal opinion. I want to bring up again the signs that we don't have on our streets. Just think that's something I'm going to keep bringing it up, and maybe one day somebody will do something about it. I know that the tour company goes and puts signs out for their people, you know, because they have to, because otherwise people that come to our town can't see where to go.
They get lost.
There's a burned up building on Tobuck. It's been burned down for a long time. It's all open. The kids are playing in it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Just waiting for somebody to get hurt. I'd like to see that boarded up.
Also, there's one on Spokane on the property that we were discussing for the man camp right next to it that blew off its foundation and is in danger of collapse and is not secured by the same property owner. I just want to add that in there. Shut up. Sorry,
It's
Melissa.
my turn.
Sorry, Melissa.
Thank you. Point of order.
Yeah.
Those are my only comments. Thank you all for coming in. It's really nice to get, because I've never had any formal training on the rules of order. So I really appreciate this opportunity to have this free training. You know, a lot of people have to pay for this. Here we get it for free. It's exciting. I love free. And thanks, Wally, for coming in on an evening on a beautiful sunny day and doing this. Thank you.
Commissioner McCann?
First off, congrats to Wally on having the new baby. Hope everything is good and healthy, and otherwise you wouldn't be back. So glad to have you back. Also, I would just say thank you for calling everybody commissioners. I think I got a lot of slack after the last meeting because the entire meeting we were called council members.
Oh.
So those I think are my only two comments.
Commissioner Jennings?
You know, thank you guys again. Congratulations, Wally. Speaking on Commissioner Ford had mentioned with you know, condition 16, and they can do better. You know, in some senses, I think you know, we get back what we put in. We in our very first variance meeting, we went through a lot more of a conditional use style sort of interaction with the applicants here with Kiewit. And I think that actually kind of gave them a much better understanding of what to bring to us for that conditional use permit. And in reference to those other traffic routes, you know, I think that maybe I would agree that they absolutely will have to provide us with something a little more fleshed out. But at the time, whenever we had gone through that particular meeting and sort of sent them on their way. I don't think I had recognized sort of how important it would have been to say what we could expect more out of this subsequent options, or what we could have expected there. So it just highlights for me how important each one of these meetings actually is, because, you know, we only really get so many opportunities to have the impact on the things that come into our community. And everybody being here is terrific. Thank you guys. Really appreciate everybody taking time out of their day. And I look forward to continuing to do this. And thank you for the training and the guidance. And again, way to go, Wally. Thanks for stepping up.
Thank you. Commissioner Oden?
Yeah, I think the training's great, and that's use this in other settings too. So we're very fortunate. And 80 trucks coming out of that little area, or 60, whatever the number is. That's going to be a traffic hazard no matter what happens. It's going to be an issue. So we just have to grind it out and get the best one we can. I think Derek's vision was good, although I think moving the road probably isn't, it's not practical at this point, but upgrading the road would be.
Commissioner Burker?
Thanks for the training. It's all very useful stuff. It's helping every meeting, so we appreciate that. I look forward to Kiewit's, I guess, next option, hopefully. I think that the original option is probably amended the way we talked. It's probably going to be their best option. I hope that they listen to what was said tonight and take a better look at that. I really like Mr. McClarty's plan. I like the idea of parking next to the Foster parking lot there, or some way to keep the cars off the road. But that's it.
Commissioner Smith?
I really apologize for being on the last meeting not so good, because just had a surgery is pretty embarrassing. Just want to put that out there for sure. I thank Melissa for stepping up and filling in. She did a wonderful job. I hope she doesn't hate me forever. And I also agree with her in the first place. When she came out, I applaud her. I don't agree with the location. I really think the location could be better served behind the graveyard that was proposed to them, that somehow never gets discussed. It's right, right next to AC. They could walk to work. They don't even enter the airport, enter AC, and be out of the way of town. But nobody's really brought that side up. I agree that the traffic plan is very challenging, and I'm glad we're seeing some flexibility. We might go back with some on our original no to that, with some improvements, and our community members like Derek and stuff had good input that could be considered as well. The abandoned buildings, the kids are going in now. It's warming up. I seen the one Melissa said. I just didn't know the address. I'm glad she brought it. Plus, I seen them going in the one up there on Spokane that I brought up. Kids going over there. So, and it looks like there's 3 buildings over there that are not secure. They're kind of blew open. So, and I'm sure our building inspector, who's not here, who's usually here, will be on it. Johnny's pretty good. I want to congratulate Wally on this and the baby, and thanks staff, and hope this process continues. I kind of like the cross talk a little bit. I like the group discussion. I'm not always like you talk. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is, unless you guys say something different, because you guys are in control as well. Thanks.
Sorry to bring this up. Dan had mentioned that he wanted to have sort of something from commissioners regarding our response to these proposed different traffic routes. Did I hear that right earlier in this meeting? Is that something
Dan?
that said he wanted?
You still
part of the
there?
discussion.
Oh, just the discussion wise.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you wanted
Yeah, okay,
you
never
know,
mind then.
separate email or something.
Discourse.
Just conversation. Do it noted.
Next meeting?
Yeah, Robert's Rules of Order was awesome. What's the next meeting?
Erin said she might not be available on May 5th.
Okay, so if
That's okay. We can still have the meeting. It's tentatively scheduled for May 5th, which is the first Tuesday of every month. And so, unless there's any reason from the commissioners, you know, like we can't make a quorum or something, that is the next scheduled meeting.
okay, or Kiewit comes back sooner with something, who knows?
Oh, they'll be on top of it. If I can give input back to them, they've been pretty reactive. So I expect that if I get back to them and say, hey, these are some of the suggestions and, or, you know, we're looking for a better explanation than just arrows on it.
You need
At least
a more
some
detailed plan.
options or some things for consideration, you know, different options that are outlined and spoken to instead of the arrows on a map. We'll see what they can come up with, but I think that they can come up with something before May 5th.
Sounds good. Go ahead.
So if they come up with something before May 5th, we have just a special meeting.
Yeah, probably.
If they don't come up with something before May 5th, we can certainly have a special meeting at any time throughout that month.
And it'll go to usual, send out the email, get a polling, the normal process.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But we'll be on the lookout for it since it is on the horizon, so to speak.
Move to adjourn.
Woo-hoo.
All say aye.
My favorite motion.
Thanks. Long meeting. Thanks.